Right, microservices architecture and what are all the technologies are going to be used in the microservices architecture. So today we are going to talk about one challenge and what is the solution is available, and we will try to implement that solution. Okay, so let me quickly go to our microservices. Right, we wrote 4 microservices. Yeah, recording. So, okay, we wrote 4 microservices in ago, right? So we wrote a client, which a mobile client, right? Client program, which internally makes 3 service calls. Okay, and uh, like this is the service one, service two, service. Yes. So tomorrow, if more load is coming, what we will do? If more number of requests are coming, what we will do?
We will create more instances so that microservice which we are.
Yes. So this is in service one, instance one. So let mark S1 and N1, I1, right? Instance one. So this is again service one only, but this is instance two because we need more instances to process it. But if you remember, while we are creating our web client, we hard coded the URLs, right? So host name and port, we are hard coding it, right? So port name and host name and port number, we are hard coding it. Yes. So the biggest challenge with this model, if you do follow something like this, when there is a new instance is introduced, then we need to introduce load balancer, right? Because this load balancer is has to manage this multiple things. So let's break down this into a particular service. Okay, so to get better idea. So now let's think we have only one client and we have only one service. Then it's okay. If you have one client and one service, then it is okay. Okay, so it's okay to hard code the URL, but all of a sudden, if you are getting more load, you will create one more instance. Then you need a load balancer, right? We need a load balancer to manage this load, because when you add the load balancer, then you will get benefited. Okay, so you might send one request to this load balancer, then this load balancer will manage the load, obviously. So this is being there for so many years in the industry, especially the people who has 7 or 8 years plus experience, right? So who wants to become a microservices architect, or who wants to get better idea about microservices, not only microservices, any architect or any person who wants to get better idea, because once you cross 8 to 10 years of experience, you slowly you will reduce the writing the code, and you start working on the system configurations and system design, system integration, right? And business requirement gathering. So obviously you should know all this. So this is what is the load balancer. So this is there already. There is nothing new. So for so many years, the world is having this load balancer concept. Yes. So there are two types of load balancer. We have hardware load balancer. Mostly we use hardware load balancer at this point of time, right? When it's a load balancer, it is hardware load balancer. Yes. But when we are stepping into microservices architecture, load balancer not suitable, right? So when we step into microservices architecture, load balancer not suitable. Why? Why we don't use load balancer? Because when we use load balancer, every time you spin up a new instance, yes, you are getting too much load, too much load. Yes, of course, you are getting too much load. Yes. Just a second, guys. I'm getting one important. Just a Yeah, I'm back. Sorry. Okay. So now we have to understand what is already there and what is the problem and what is the solution we are going. So microservices also same, right? Mostly we will be running these microservices on cloud, right? Mostly we will be running these microservices on cloud. So hard coding the URLs will not work for sure. We need load balancer. That part we are clear. But load balancer is not suitable because earlier, earlier our applications are monolithic applications. So spinning of more instances count is very less, right? You maximum you will spin up like 2 to 3 instances, and those 2 to 3 instances will manage this, right? Will load. But when it is coming to microservices, those are all small components, right? So those are all small components. So you spin up like n number of instances, right? Everything is a Docker container. You spin up instances like anything. So when you spin up instances, more number of instances, every time you spin up a new instance, right? Every time you spin up a new instance, what will happen? You have to modify your load balancer configuration. You have to put this server inside. You need to configure this server inside that load balancer, right? And when there is a server is going down, you have to remove that. So every time you have to go and modify that server, right? So every time you need to go and modify that load balancer. Every time you go and modify that load balancer. So so touching the load balancer is a cost-effective manner. It's not that much easy. And moreover, these load balancers are really costly. So if it is a old load balancer, it's okay. But when we are coming to the cloud, right? So cloud, what is the load balancer we have in the AWS? Elastic load balancer, right? Yeah.
Elastic load balancer. Yeah.
Yes. So if you go low level, so that what exactly we use? Route 53, right? Route 53 we will be using internally. So even if it is a Route 53 also, you need to manage, right? You need to go and touch that particular load balancer every time and change it, right? Yes. So and changing the load balancer is little cost effective. And when it is coming to microservices, spinning up new instances, filling new instances is very common factor. Is very common factor. And moreover, when you, okay, there are two things are there. One is the load balancing. Okay, so first one is balancing the load. Yes, that is one concept. Balancing load, yes, for sure, this is one concept. And the second very important concept is every time you spin up a new instance, that instance has to be registered, right? That instance has to be registered in the load balancer. That concept is called service registrar, right? Service registry. So load balancer cannot do the service registry, right? We need some manual intervention to take care of that part. Okay, take care of that part. So to avoid this problem, to overcome this problem, and moreover, load balancers are too costly, right? Moreover, load balancers are too costly. So introducing too many load balancers will increase the cost of the project. Okay, increase the cost of the project. So using third-party load balancers, we cannot. I mean, for microservices architecture, it may not be suitable, right? So to overcome this problem, we use a concept called service discovery. Okay, we use a concept called service discovery. So service discovery, which is a combination of about two, right? One is the load balancer. Yes, it has to take care about the load balancing, and it also needs to take care about service registry. When you spin up a new instance, it has to automatically register in that service discovery automatically, right? It should work in that way. That is what is the uh, expectation of service discovery. I'm not talking anything related to Spring, or I'm not talking anything related to Java, which is in general, if you are an architect, right, and you are going to work on any microservices architecture or any one of the project, so you should use some of the service discovery, which takes care about these concepts. Okay. So now let's come to the Spring, as we are thinking in a developer point of view. Okay, now Spring provides service discovery. Okay, Spring has service discovery support. So in Spring itself, there are multiple service discoveries are there. The one which is from Netflix, right? So the one which is from Netflix is Eureka. Okay, Eureka. I think Eureka. Yes, and the one which is from Hashgraph is Console. Okay, like that. There are multiple are there, etc., etc. I'm just listing out which are very very popular, right? So Eureka from Netflix, Console from Hashgraph. Okay, these two are two different companies. Yes. So similarly, Kubernetes also has service discovery. So service discovery is one of the service of the Kubernetes. Okay, service discovery is one of the service of the Kubernetes. So you should, I mean, if you are a good architect, then you should know how Kubernetes service discovery works. Then you should take the decision which one is suitable for you. Mostly in the real time, Kubernetes dominates Spring. Okay, Kubernetes dominates. So most of the people use Kubernetes service discovery. But anyway, that comes into a different category, right? DevOps. So now, first of all, you should understand what is load balancer, what is service discovery, okay, and like different technologies also. .NET and all will have, right? .NET and all will have that concept. So when it is coming to Java and Spring, Spring has two types of service discoveries. One is Eureka, which is from Netflix, and another one is from Console from Hashgraph. Okay, I will play one like just 2 minutes of video. There is a small talk from Hashgraph who can tell you. I mean, who can make you understand in a better way, right? He will explain in a better way, but his terminology is little like very very advanced. Okay, so be listen very carefully. He will tell what is the difference between service discovery and this thing, but he will stretch little bit about Console because he's from Hashgraph, right? Hashgraph introduces Console. So let's just take whatever is good from him. So he is part of business marketing. He will tell, okay, Console will do that. He will do this. Eureka also will do whatever Console does. Okay. I'm going to play this video. Just listen to this.
So when we talk about what's changed in modern application architecture, there's this bigger shift from sort of monolithic applications where a single application has many subcomponents and capabilities delivered as one application to many discrete services that are being deployed independently. This is sort of a microservice or service-oriented architecture where we have many, many more services that are communicating with each other to closing form a larger infrastructure. So as we make this change, what suddenly changes about our requirements is, A, we have a lot higher scale. There's many more instances that we need to be routing, right? And these things are much more ephemeral. So there's a lot more elasticity in terms of scaling up and down, but also dynamicism in terms of these things being relatively short-lived compared to the monolithic version. So the monolithic world, what we used to do is traditionally use hardware load balancers, and these would be manually managed. If we deploy new versions of the monolith, we would then file a ticket, and then we'll update the load balancer and add a new instance, and then it's able to get traffic on days. This was okay because the churn was relatively low, and even when we upgraded our application, we were upgrading it on the same machine. It was already part of our load balancer environment. Now, as we sort of embrace microservices architectures and sort of cloud-based platforms, both of those assumptions sort of change. Now there's much more change, right? We're scaling up, scaling down, deploying applications, but there's also a churn of the underlying game. Right? We're much less likely to reuse a machine, deploy the new application on the same hardware. Rather, we'll destroy that machine and build a new machine running the new version of our application. So now all of a sudden, all of these changes require us touching our load balancer accounts. So a more modern approach is to use a service registry, a tool like that. So now as new instances boot, they get automated.
Is audio is clear for everyone? So Vijay saying not able to hear.
We're not able to hear anything.
You are not able.
Breaking.
Oh, it's breaking. Okay, I will share this link with you. Just
Send the link and we can see, right?
yeah. So yes. I thought it's clearly audible. And if it is not audible, then I will share the link with you. Just not immediately. Just go after it. Go after this time. Okay. So it's just a 2 minute talk. Whatever I explained, but I will try to explain in a more better way. But the terminology is too much complicated to understand, right? So that's fine. So it's the same thing. Whatever I explained, it's going to be the same thing. But he will talk too much about console. Okay, that's fine. He's going to promote the portion. Okay. Yes. So this is that is what is the difference between load balancer and service discovery. So like there are so many service discoveries are there in this IT world. So why people use Kubernetes? Because Kubernetes supports any kind of technology, not only Java, right? So that is the reason why Kubernetes is popular than Spring's service discovery. And Kubernetes has Linux level support to manage that service discovery. You know, Kubernetes is has going, I mean, it's going to use Kubernetes is going to use Linux kernel to manage, I mean, Linux networking system to manage those service discovery concepts. All right. So Kubernetes also has the same feature, like just like how we have in our Spring. So Spring itself, we have two flavors. One is Eureka from Netflix. One is console. Just now, whatever that guy was talking, right? So that's from Hashgraph. So this is all about service discovery. Okay. Let me quickly tell you how Kubernetes is going to do that part, right? So Kubernetes, everything is going to be pod. Okay. In Kubernetes, everything is going to be deployed as pod. So what exactly is going to happen? You know, you take one AWS EC2 instance like this, and like 2 instances, or else maybe like 3 instances. And when you do install Kubernetes on it, and you create multiple instances. For example, each container is going to run on its own IP address. For example, 10.0.0.1, and the second one is going to be 10.0.0.1. So it's going to be 10.0.0.2, right? Something like that. It creates that subnet, right? Yeah. So you should have some good idea about networking concepts to get a better idea about Kubernetes, because it uses a lot of networking internally. Okay. So it creates some subnet, and here it's going to be point 0.3, right? So point 0.3, and this is going to be some point 0.4. So when it is coming to this one pod, right, one Kubernetes pod, so this entire thing is going to be there inside like something like this 10.0.0.0, right? So this 10.0.0.0 is going to have 4 nodes, 4 Docker containers. So all these are going to be part of one single IP address. So internally, these use Linux networking principles to manage this load across these 4 nodes, right? So, and the same concept is applicable for the remaining pods also. So, if the remaining pods also having 4 instances of same category, and the high level IP is going to be 10.0 dot 0 dot, right? So dot 1. So that outside IP is going to be like dot 1. So it's a dot 0, it's a dot 1, and here inside this it's going to be the 10 dot 0 dot 0 dot 1, right? That is a subnet. That's like 0. So again, it starts from 0, and it will come like dot 1, dot 2, and dot 3, something like that. So the things will be managed here, right? So it uses Linux kernel networking system principles to manage these things. Okay. So I didn't go through in detail, right? So outside you call this 10.0.0.1. So any one of this node is going to give the response. So you don't need to worry. It's inbuilt with Kubernetes, right? So that's how the things are going to be worked in the Kubernetes. So this is being managed by the service registry, and it internally use Linux networking principles to manage the load. Okay. So anyway, it's completely uh, different, right? It's completely different. So we no need to get into it. but what you should understand, so how we have a service discovery in Spring, the same way we also have a service discovery in Kubernetes, and that is much powerful than Spring's service discovery, right? Because so obviously the operating system level things are much better than application level things, right? So this is much trustable than Spring's discovery. So that is the reason why most of the companies uses uh, Kubernetes Kubernetes service discovery. Okay. Yeah. Now let's come back to service discovery, Spring service discovery. At this point of time, we might be using Spring service discovery, but okay. So whatever we are going to learn with respect to microservices in Spring, so all are like sub modules of Spring Cloud project, right? So Spring Cloud has so many sub projects. So if you scroll down, you see something related to Kubernetes. So if you are using this module, you can use that predefined service discovery. I mean, you don't need to do anything. You just will write only client part, no service part. Anyway, service discovery is going to manage only the server side load balancing, right? So this is what it's going to do, right? So this entire part is called server side load balancing, right? So this is the server. So this is the server side load balancing. So service discovery will help us to manage load balancing at server side. So we will also discuss about client side load balancing later. So for that is a different issue. Okay, and when we are so we have to understand what is the issue, then we will discuss about the solution. So right now, whatever we are discussing is the server-side load balancing. So the existing legacy load balancer will not help us to address that issue. So we need a service discovery, which takes care about load balancing and registering the service. Okay. So service discovery implementations are so many are available in the market, like Eureka, Consul, like Kubernetes has, and some third-party service discoveries are available. But mostly people use open source like Eureka, Consul, or Kubernetes. Most of the times, people will go with Kubernetes service discovery, which is much powerful than our Spring's service discovery. Okay. So this is all about service discovery. Now let's see how can we implement a service discovery using Spring Eureka, right? So I told already. So Eureka from Netflix, right? So Netflix has a very good experience with respect to microservices journey, right? So that is the first Java company which fully enabled microservices. So for this world, Netflix is like a kind of tutor with respect to Java microservices. Okay. So service discovery from Netflix is called Eureka. If I click on console, that is from Hashgraph. It's service discovery. So again, when I click on console, you see the same feature service discovery, but that is called console, right? So you should know which one fits for you. So it's a combination of both. Sometimes they use Netflix also, Netflix features, but service discovery you have console, service discovery you have Eureka. So somebody is asking you what is Eureka, what is console, then you should say both are service discoveries. Eureka from Netflix and console from Hashgraph. Okay, console from Hashgraph. Uh, and one more thing is Netflix Eureka is like just open source. Okay, but whereas a console, I don't think so. It's open source. We need to take some license from Hashgraph. Okay, we need to take some license from Hashgraph. Okay, so this is called yeah, it is from Hashgraph. So I think we need to take some license. That is not fully free service. People can use it. Okay, so you see there are some companies are using pins, Barclays, both are same one, no? Okay, so these people are using that, right? Citadel, we know Ben, but at least Barclays we know, but we don't know what on this. Okay, so these people are using that. Might be we need to take some support, right? Some license from them. It's open source only, but we need to take a license. But when it is coming to Eureka, you don't need to take any license. It's pure open source, right? It's a pure open source. No need to take any license from any. Okay. So it's up to you which one fits for you. You should go to the documentation. So then, or else you search in the Google console versus Eureka, then you will get better idea. So which fits for which suitable to you. You just yeah. So console is compact. So obviously, when they are comparing, they will show what is benefit for them. Okay. Super set of features including the richer health checking. Yeah, of course you charge, so you provide. Right. So it's like going to government bank and private bank. So some kind of difference you really see, right? Yes. So it is not open source. If you are paying some money, then you will get some good benefits out from this concept. Okay. But we are interested to learn open source. That's why we are going for Eureka, right? So it's worthy learning open source because that comes for free of cost, right? Yes. So now we drill down to the Eureka level, right? So we are slowly coming down, right? I hope you understood. So we started with load balancer, right? So anyway, we decided that won't fit for us. Then we come into the next level called service discovery. Okay, so service. Okay, and again service discovery, there are multiple service discoveries are there. So Spring, it has two service discoveries, right? One is console and another one is Eureka. So right now we are in we are at Eureka level, right? So we are at Eureka level. So similarly, you also have Kubernetes. So if you would like to learn any DevOps training, so ask them whether they are going to teach this Kubernetes service discovery. Okay. Because future is going to be fully Kubernetes. This is one of the most uh, booming technology now. It is just 6 years old baby. Kubernetes introduced just a few years back, 6 years back into this market. Okay. So this is from Google. So it has tremendous uh, community support, right? Tremendous community support, but the things are too much complicated. The installation, understanding, the learning the things. So Linux admins can easily understand, but the people who has Java background and understanding these things little different. But it is worth spending time, money on this. It's really like future is going to be full of Kubernetes. Okay. But it's just 6 years before it got introduced, just 6 years before it introduced, and it is too much booming now. Okay, it's too much booming just because of microservices and containers. Okay, microservices and containers. Anyway, so we are not going to cover that in our training, right? So Kubernetes. So to learn Kubernetes, so we should start from scratch: Linux, networking, cloud, container, then Kubernetes. So that is what is the path. So directly jumping into Kubernetes will not help anything, right? So this is all about service discovery, and service discovery is a combination of two: load balancer plus service registry, right? Yes. So let's see how can we implement Eureka, right? So this concept is this much big, concept-wise this much big. Implementation is really pretty easy. Okay. So implementing Eureka in Spring Boot microservices, it's simple. Too much simple. Okay. So what I will do, I will show you how exactly things are going to work. So we have this one, right? So you have service. I mean, let's think this is the client. Okay, fine. This is our client. Okay, this is our service. So we will install a Eureka server. Okay, we will install a Eureka server. It's again a Spring Boot application. It's again a Spring Boot application. Yes. So we will remove this direct communication. If you don't have registry, this service discovery, then you call service directly. No, that is not the case, right? So what should we do? We should create one service discovery server. Okay, service discovery server. So it's again a Spring Boot application. Yes. So this service discovery server, so it's going to be server. So these two are going to be behaving like clients. Okay, these two are going to be behaving like clients to service discovery server. So you do some configuration here, so it will be registered automatically. You do some configuration here, this will register automatically. So going forward, if you would like to communicate to the service, right, you don't directly communicate it. So you get the address of the service from the discovery, okay, service discovery, and you make a call, right? So as we are installing a layer in between, yes, performance wise, this is a little delay, right? So you can ignore that particular latency. Right? It's a very minute, not even nanosecond. So it is not that much considerable latency, and benefits are so many there. So that's why we are using. So of course, performance wise, you see some latency when we are using services. So the benefit is tomorrow when you spin up one more instance, right? When you spin up one more instance, like service, same service, but this is going to be instance one, right? So this is going to be instance one or instance two. Okay, let's go with start with one. This is one and this is two, right? So this is one and this is two. When you spin up one more service, again this is going to be registered automatically in the service. So client doesn't know that, right? Client doesn't know that. So client will always go to service discovery and get that URL. So service discovery will manage the load across these two servers, right? So across these two servers, okay. So what I will do, I will just quickly create one service discovery. I will quickly create one service discovery server, okay, and we will register both, right? So we will register these both here, and we will get a better idea who which I mean like how we are going to remove that hard-coded URLs from our client. So let me quickly switch to the workspace. Switch workspace, also grade 15. Let's go there. Yeah, just a few seconds. So in between, I hope you are able to follow, right? I mean, we are discussing too much advanced things. At architectural level, we are talking about.
No, no, able to understand, sir. Even we see, right? We at least we have little bit idea, so
No, no,
able to connect.
not only you, Abhi, Sharad, Hari.
Hari will know.
Okay. So yeah, Sharad, you are able to follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's play
You
for.
know, yes, actually, this is what is pure architectural thing. So, yeah, the people who has less than 5 years, for them, not, I mean, if they are not understanding, it's fine. But the people who crossed 8+ years experience, for it, these things are very important. Okay.
This is you have to understand. Otherwise, no. You don't have choice actually.
Okay, so let me go to the client. So let me open the application.properties. You see, we hard coded the URLs, right? Okay, so I will show you the problem. What is the problem with this approach, right? So, for example, if I go to service, and we are expecting that service is going to run on 8080, but what I will do, I will do a small change at service side, right? I will do a small change at service side, right? So I don't start on 8080, I will start on 8090. So what will happen? Again, we need to go to client and we need to change, right? We need to go to client and we need to change. But in the cloud architecture, host names and port numbers are going to be picked dynamically, right? So the host names and port numbers are going to be assigned dynamically. So you will not be able to control the things when we are going for cloud deployment, right? So anyway, if as I am changing here, let me start the services and show you we will get an exception. For sure, we will get an exception. So at least the service will start, right? Starting no problem, but when you invoke the service, right? When you invoke the service, you see that exception is going to be. So let me start the remaining. Let me start the remaining services also, so that you can clearly understand exception only from mobile service, right? Yes. So yes, even though the port is wrong, yes, still the services will up and running because the communication is going to happen at runtime with HTTP protocol. So application startup, there is no problem because microservices are going to be run and I mean, deployable as an independent. So we don't have any dependence. Okay, the communication is at runtime. Yes. So even though we are starting on different port, uh, still services will up and running. But when we try to access it, oh my god, I need to generate a token. Let me open that. we need a token to invoke client, right? So that's why I'm just starting Postman. Or else we need to disable the Postman, the security for now. Eight GB machine is taking this much time to boot this Postman. Not a service, it is too much heavy. Okay. So let's go to get the token, right? So 8085, not sure whether it's a create token or some other endpoint. Client, go to controller, I think it's a availability controller. I believe we gave, yeah, it's a create token. So the password and this one is, I believe we are connecting, I think we hard coded the username and password, right? I ask you to take care of that part. It's a user 123, fine. Let's hit it. You should get the token generated. Okay, that's fine. Yes, the token is generated. Yes. Now let's go to the get 8085 mobile client /1. So we need to pass this token in the header. Yes. Okay. Yes, let's send the request. You see there is some exception because 8080 is not running, right? Or 8080 is not running. So you will get an exception saying that it's not able to hit the localhost 8080. The problem is when you change the port number or host name, so cloud it is common feature. So for microservices, hard coding URLs will not work, right? So for microservices, hard coding URLs will not work. So then what should we do? We should okay, yeah, let's stop the client. Let's stop the client. So we should write a service, right? We should write the service which can manage this URLs hard coding concept, right? So what we will do, we will quickly create one Eureka server. Okay, so go to file new Spring Start server, Spring Start project. Okay, let's give this as Spring Boot MSK. Let it be. So mobile service discovery. Okay, so mobile service discovery. There we go. Okay, mobile service discovery here also mobile service discovery. Yes, so let's give this as MSK / mobile / SD service discovery. Right? So just click next. We need Lombac. Okay, not required. We need dev tools. Okay. We need this one. End of this training, my system will crash. It's hanging like anything. Okay, I need Eureka server, right? So let's type Eureka. Yeah, Eureka server. Select Eureka server. Click next. Finish. There is one project will be created and imported here. Yeah. So I had a discussion with one of the networking guy. So he suggested to change my hard disk to SDG, right? So that is going to be pretty fast. I asked him to do that, and it might be happening maybe in this month or next month. He ordered it; it has to come. Yes, I don't know if you are having 4 GB system. Don't write these many services. For sure, it won't work.
Mine is 4 GB only.
Yours is 4 GB. Then each Java, right, will take minimum 300 to 500 MB. So starting 5-6 services will consume 2 to 3 GB of RAM. So you cannot start a Postman and up, right? So it's very, very tough then.
Yeah, it is very slow.
Mine is 8 GB RAM. So 8 GB itself is too much slow. Anyway, I formatted very, very long back. So actually it needs a format.
Actually 8 GB only, mine also 8 only.
So if it is latest machine, so you will not have this much pass actually. Luckily, we didn't install MongoDB. If you would have been installing MongoDB, that would have been taking some half GB. Aha. It's creating. I can see the clear performance latency when we are starting the services. Initially, it was pretty fast. Now things become slow. Maybe in the future, we will install all these softwares and cloud, and we will play with the cloud itself. Might be just a laptop means just like simple dummy laptop, no memory, nothing. Just connected to cloud, permanent cloud account, right? Just install whatever you wanted and just use it like just how you are using it, right? Might be future things will be like that. Yeah, now let's come back. So here is the server, right? So Netflix Eureka server. Netflix Eureka server. So there are few changes we need to do. The first one is we need to add one annotation on our application class. I'm not sure. Let's this was there with the older versions. Maybe some automated thing. I don't know. We'll check that out. Okay. So uh, that annotation is
I think enable Eureka server.
yeah, enable Eureka server. Maybe enable service discovery. I don't know. After so many days, I'm doing this. Yeah, enable
Enable Eureka only.
server. Okay, server. Yeah, that is important. Server. Yes. Okay. So, and when you start your Spring Boot application, it's going to run on port 8080. Okay. So the default port for Eureka server is 8761. Okay. Eureka server is 8761. So we need to change that part also. Let's go to properties file. Let's go to properties file and we should do server, right? Server dot port. Server dot port equals to 8761. So that is what is the dedicated port for Eureka server. And one more important thing what we need to do. So when you start Eureka server, it try to register itself as a client. Okay, we should stop that. Okay, we should inform. Okay, you are not a client, you are a server, right? So we should do that particular part. I think it's server dot Eureka. Okay, not server. It might be Spring. Okay, let's start with this Eureka. We'll check. Yeah, regions registry. No. There's so many options. Okay, so here I have a backup. So let me put them. Okay, Eureka client register with Eureka and Eureka client with fetching. Right? So these two should be false. Okay, its registry should be false. So then it won't do self-registration, right? It won't do the self-registration. If you don't do that, it will try to do the self-registration and you will get an exception. Okay. So first of all, okay, let's remove these two and show you. Okay. Anyway, if I don't add this, by default it's going to start on 8080, but we don't want that to be happen, right? So let's start. Let's start the service discovery. Okay. Let's close this client. We have mobile client, right? So let's close this. Close.
Sunil,
Hmm.
So what is the second line fetch we have added, right? False.
Those two for connecting to that service registry. One is if this is not client and don't connect it to that register.
Okay.
Okay. So you see that exception from, right? You see that there is an exception from, right? So it's just because it's trying to connect itself as a client, right? So the server itself will try to connect to the same registry. So that is what is the problem, right? And you see somewhere it will be printing some load balancing concept. Okay, so first of all, let's fix this issue. Let's stop this. So let's go to service discovery and stuff. Okay, so let's not allow Eureka server to register by itself, right? So, yeah, so let's do the changes and start the service. Okay, so this time you don't see that exception printed on the console. That's okay. But it prints some information about load balancer. Okay, Spring has some load balancer concept. So you see that it will be printed. Yes. Which live remote. Okay. Confirm here. Four, five. Ribbon enabled. Okay, so there is some load balancer is enabled automatically. Yes, now we can access that Eureka server console by typing localhost 87, right? 8761. So that is what is the port we gave, right? Yes. So you just type localhost 8761. So this is one server, right? Eureka server. So right now there are no instances are registered, right? Right now there are no instances are registered. So it will also show how much memory is available, right? Number of CPUs, right? So my computer has, I think, 4 core CPUs. So there are four CPUs are available. And CPU memory usage, how much memory we use, right? And what is the URL of Eureka server, and what is the IP address, right? So what is the status of the Eureka server? Every information is going to be displayed here, and it will also show how many instances are registered till now, right? So there are no instances are registered. So we have to register our services here, and we should go to client and remove that URL part. Okay. So first, let's go to mobile service, right? So let's go to mobile service. We should add Eureka dependency here, Eureka client dependency here. Close the project. Yes. Now let's go to down. Okay, and this Eureka dependency from Spring Cloud project. Okay, so Spring Cloud project. So automatically Spring Cloud is not going to be added as part of Spring Boot. Okay, Spring Cloud is not part of Spring Boot. So we should add this dependency by ourselves. Okay, so one is the version of Spring Cloud we are using. Okay, where are the properties of let's add some properties here. Properties, insert properties, you put what version of Spring Cloud you are using and add this dependency management. So you will get those Spring Cloud dependencies are available to your Spring. Yes, right. So you just add it, you see that's going to be downloaded after. So once you are doing this, I believe in the older versions we need to do some configuration. Okay, in the older versions we need to do some configuration. But with respect to mobile, with respect to latest version of Spring Boot, right? Spring Boot 2. So you don't need to do anything. Just keeping the dependency on the console class part, right? So keeping the Spring, I mean Eureka server, Eureka client dependency in the class part will automatically connect it to Spring Eureka server if Eureka server is running on port 8081. It is not connected.
We have to give at enable Eureka client in the
No.
Spring Boot application, right?
Optional. That is completely optional.
Oh.
Okay, just adding it in the class path is enough, right? So just adding it in the class path will automatically register to that Eureka. But the only important thing which we need to remember is our client should be, our Eureka server should be running on port 8761. Okay, port should be 8761. Let me check whether it's 8761 only. Yes, that is what is important thing. If Eureka server is running on port 8761, it will be automatically connected.
This 8761 is always like a static. Real time also we need to give same.
No, you can change it, but when you change it, you need to inform all the clients. Okay? So let me stop mobile service also and try to start it. No, that is the default port. If you go with the default port, there are few benefits. Just adding the Spring Cloud, Netflix Eureka client and the class path itself, you will see that all the servers, all the services will be registered automatically. If it is not port 8761, then we need to add at the enable Eureka client and we need to give some configuration and properties file.
Okay. Yeah, because real time, right? Every time we cannot give same, right? Might be it is used by some other thing.
So service discovery is up and running. Actually, we should start service discovery first. Yes, that is what it happened. We should start service discovery. Yes, I think it should be working now. Yes, you see, right? There is one application is added, right? So unknown. Yes, I will let you know why it is unknown. We have to give some name to our Spring application. Then you will see that application is going to be registered with the same name. So default is unknown. Default name is unknown, right? So you just see. So just because our Eureka server is running on port 8761, so client side no changes required, right? Mobile service or country service or access area client, no changes are required. So just keeping this dependency on the class path, your service will automatically registered with Eureka server. Okay, so that is what is the beauty of Eureka server by default feature. But that works only with Spring Boot 2. If you are using Spring Boot 1, you have to do that manually. Anyway, I don't think these days anyone using Spring Boot 1. So if it is Spring Boot 1, so make sure what version of Spring Boot you are using. So we are using 2.2.7, right? So if you are using Spring Boot anything, maybe 2.0, 2.1, 2.2 or 2.3, anything it's fine. But it should be 2. Some version. Okay. Yes. So the problem here is our service is registered as unknown, right? Unknown. Okay. Let's not do that. That is a bad practice. We should give a proper name to our service, right? So what should we do? We should give a name in our application.properties or application.yaml. So let me give a name to my mobile service application. So let's go down and give Spring dot application dot name, I believe. Let's check. Yeah, application dot name. Let's give application name as mobile service. Right? Let's give application name as mobile service. Save the file and wait for a moment. Just save the file and wait for a moment. So this time your service should be registered with the name mobile service. Right? This time your service will be registered on Eureka server with the name mobile service. Right? Look at the console. Still it is registered as unknown. Then we need to restart our server. If you are not able to see, yeah, I think it's registered with the name, right? Yes, mobile service. Okay, so whatever the name you are giving in the Spring Boot application, so that is going to be the name which is going to be registered in the Eureka server. So going forward, to point to a mobile service, right? To going forward, to point it to the mobile service, so we don't need to use any IP port number. You just give the name mobile service, you will be directly navigated to the mobile service. So let's quickly do these changes, right? So our country service. If you are able to follow, then we will take this microservice as a reference. Otherwise, I will show a different example with one client and one service. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
No. What's the question?
No, if you are able to follow, because we are playing with so many microservices, so you will get little confused, right? So you will get little confused. So what I'm saying, if you are able to work with multiple microservices, then we will continue here. Otherwise, I will create a separate workspace and I will show separate demo. Okay, but like you have to integrate here. Not getting. Okay, what I'm saying, we are playing with too many services, right? So you might get confused. So if it is a simple example, then you will get better idea. So which one you prefer? This one or simple example?
This one is good, Sunil.
So now we need to add, we need to do two changes. One is adding the dependency.
I have a question though. Sorry.
Yeah, Abhi. Yeah, Abhi. Please tell me.
So we use something called JHipster registry.
That is completely different licensed version, and that is, yeah, as we have.
But that is the same thing, right?
Pardon?
I mean that is the so functionality is same as the Eureka registry, right?
Yes,
I mean
all service
concept is
registries, yes, all service registries will work in the same way, just a different implementation. Yes. Yeah, you're talking about JHipster, right? So why I'm not teaching you that there is too much automation in JHipster, so you can't understand what exactly is happening in the background, right? JHipster is one of the tool for microservices.
yes, it does a lot of the work for us, right? I mean, it creates the whole application.
Yes. So you will miss a couple of core concepts. So yeah, so this is one tool plugin, but we need to take license also. Right, so many companies are using, yeah, anyway, like so many companies are using, but this is completely optional. And what is the problem of using this? You know, if I start everything from scratch as a JHipster, you will not get a better idea, like what exactly the things are working in the background. You will not be able to understand. Okay. Yeah, for commercial use, there is a license we need to take, I believe. Um, this is one of the tool to create Spring Boot applications. So it creates so many. So I mean, it will ask you some configuration. What is your plan? What is the registry under? So it will automatically add those dependencies, and it will write. It will create so many files for us. Okay. But anyway, I don't want to be covered that in our training, because if I show this, then you directly jump into JHipster, then you won't understand the things, because like some companies use JHipster and some companies don't use JHipster. So you are learning things and going for JHipster, it is useful, but you are starting from JHipster and coming back may not be, the things may not be clear as much as like what we are learning now. Okay, but service discoveries all are same. Whether it is a JHipster service discovery, Eureka service discovery, Consul service discovery, or Kubernetes service discovery, their functionality wise everything is same, but internal implementation is different. So whatever we are seeing now, it is dedicated to Eureka. Okay, it is dedicated to only Eureka. Yes. Yeah, so we need to add the dependency, right? So first let's add the dependency. Let's copy the properties. Yes, let's add the client. And add this dependency management also. Okay, so client we need to add, and in properties file we need to give some name, right? So let's
The client is only one microservice, right? Why we are adding to all?
okay. So actually this client is a client to service discovery, not to mobile client.
Okay, okay.
Service discovery is a server, and all these services are client.
Are a client. Okay. Understand now.
So let's do the same change for accessory also, right? So let's go to accessory. Let's copy this, paste it over there, but change the name. So it's going to be mobile icon accessory. Yes, and we need to add the dependency, right? Eureka client. Let's scroll down. Let's mention that version of Spring Cloud we are using. Like mostly this won't be there in the so many microservices because they are going to use Kubernetes, right? So there they do the setup. So some YAML configuration they will do it. So our services are meant to be only code which is going to talk only business logic. Okay. Yeah. DevOps part is most complicated things because there are so many implementations are there and different companies use different things. Yes. So let's save on. You see, wait for a moment until the services are up and running. So what we can do, we can just go to Eureka server. Once it's done and just refresh, you'll see the number of services which are increased here. I think we need to restart the servers. Okay, manually restart the servers because we added new dependencies. Right? Yes, just copy them, restart. Okay, so let's stop them. Clear everything and start.
So once the service discovery is configured, it has to be up before we make the other services up.
Yes. So now we will have order. So we need to start service discovery first, then the remaining service. Yes, you are. Okay, so
Okay,
now,
otherwise you error, right?
yeah, it won't be working out. So you see now these are the services which are registered, right? Country service, mobile access. Yeah, you are right. You are right, Avi. Yes.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah, so now you see all the services are registered, right? So now what we can do, we can go to client. Okay, we can go to client. Where is that? Yes, go to client. Okay, so here what we will do, we will remove all those URLs, client, properties. Yeah, there are so many things, so many files we are modifying. So please focus, guys. If I am doing any mistake, please let me know. Okay. Yes. So now we can access our services by directly using this service. For example, it is a mobile service. Then you can say mobile service slash MSK slash mobiles. Mobile accessories. Then you can say mobile accessory slash um, uh, right. So mobile accessory slash mobile accessory. Then you can just say country service slash country. Okay. So let's do this change and start our this thing, but make sure you are also adding this client to the service discovery, right? So this is also should be connected to the service discovery server. Then only it can get all the things are which are there in the service discovery. So let's do those changes, right? So let's make this as a client to service discovery, right? So spring hyphen spring dot application dot name. Okay, so let's give this as a mobile hyphen client. I'm just doubting about this case sensitivity. I think we need to give the exact name whatever we given in the application.properties file. So let's try that out. I'm just getting doubt. Like whatever we are seeing here is just visibility purpose. They might have uppercase and displaying it. So I'm not sure. Let's try that out. Okay, so mobile client, yes. Now we need to add dependencies in the form brackets, right? So in the properties section, we need to add this version of Spring Cloud we are using. Now let's add this dependency in the dependency section. Scroll down, and add the dependency and add the dependency management. Okay, just scroll down, and add this dependency management and do save all. Okay, save all. So I think the client is not running. So let's start this client. Okay, you see that the client also should be registered with the service registry. Wait for a moment. The exception with respect to live reload server, we need to disable live reload server. So that's fine. Still our application should be running up and running, right? Yes. Now let's go to Eureka and refresh. You see the mobile client is here, right? So mobile client is here. So how many instances are there? Only one, right? So only one instance, which is the status is up and running. So now let's go to the Postman. I think the token is being created 30 minutes before. I'm not sure whether it's still available or not. So let's go to cookies section. Okay, the time is not being displayed here. So let's create a quick new token. Okay, you got the no token. Just go to the get and try to pass this token and try to access it, right? So still we are going with the last issue itself, because my mobile actually we have not hard coded the URLs. That is the first part, and the second thing is still my mobile service is running on port 8081 only, right? So mobile service is running on 8090, right? So running on 8090, so it's not running on 8080. So there is no old configuration. So we have not hard coded any URLs, right? We have not hard coded any URL. So what we will do, let's test this out and check whether it's working or not. There is some exception. I think mobile service.
Even only what you are saying, right? Mobile capital.
Yeah. So let's do one thing. Let's go to mobile service. What is the exact name we give? If this is not working, then we need to write code to get that thing from. We need to get that thing from. Um, get that service name from service registry. Okay. Let's quickly go to mobile service and see what is the name we give, exact name. We'll try that out, whether that will work or not. Okay, so
Can you go to the Eureka page? We can have name there also, right?
No, it's everything is uppercase.
Can you click on the green text? Is that all clickable?
No, that is just actuator info, and we need to so just health information of that particular thing.
Okay.
So I just would like to.
If you hover on that text, will it give the actual name?
No, it won't give anything. So
okay,
it's just this part I will cover later. Actuator. So let's not go into that. That is separate topic we're going to discuss. Okay.
Okay.
So for now, yeah, let's not jump into actuator. So that is again one more session it will take. I will cover separately what is actuator, why we need actuator. Okay. So now let's give this name. I'm just doubting will this work or not because this might need some domain naming server changes. I'm just doubting about it whether that will really work or not. If it works, that's fine. If it is not working, then we will write some code to get that instance from service registry. Okay, so let's take this name and let's go to country service. Okay, let's try with one, right? So if one is working, then all the remaining things should work. So we modified client. So let's wait for a moment to get the server up. Okay, that is related to load live server. Let's send for one more time. Unknown host. Okay, so it is expecting some DNS server changes. Okay, DNS server level changes. Actually, in the real time, we will do that DNS server level changes, and we will try to access it by using this name, whatever we give it in the whatever the name we gave on the server. Okay, so what I will do, we will stop for today. Okay, so this particular part I will show tomorrow. Okay, we'll check what is the DNS level server change I need to do. I will, if possible, in my local I will show that, and I will show both scenarios. One is without the DNS server change and with the DNS server change. In the real time, it's going to be DNS server change. So we should see what is the DNS server change we need to do. So that I will check it out if possible to do it on my local machine, right? So I will show that part. Otherwise, we will get this instance from service registry and process it. Okay, we will get that instance from service registry and process it. Okay, so but anyway, we are done with full thing. There is a small thing is missing. One is DNS server change I should do. How to do that I have to check. I just want to try that out. It may work or it may not work. If it is working, then it's okay. If it is not working, then I will show how can we get that instance from service registry and process. But overall, this is how we do configure, right? So the benefit we are going to get is no URL hard coded here. So we go with the logical name. No URL hard coded here. We go with the logical name. And the second part is okay. The second part is this one. Okay, so right now only one instances we started, right? Only one mobile service instance, only one country service instance, only one mobile accessory service instance. So I will create one more instance of mobile service, right? We will create 2 to 3 instances, right? So of same time, mobile service itself, we will start 3 services running on different port: 8089, 8090, 8091, 8092. So, but there are no code changes. We will do it in the client. So we will see how service discovery will do that load balancing also. So, right. So these two parts are pending with respect to service discovery. So whatever now we see in this, just only one instance, right? So mobile accessory with only one instance. So it doesn't mean that load balancing, right? So we will also see how load balancing is going to work out internally. Okay. So that particular part I will cover tomorrow. But before you coming to the session, I will share a couple of links. One is load balancer versus Eureka. So there is a nice blog written by Netflix people. Can you please go over, just read and try to understand the difference between load balancer and Eureka server. There is a link available here. Yes, this one. Okay, so this is official documentation of Netflix Eureka. Official documentation of Netflix Eureka. So they will try to explain you in a clear way. But they wrote most of the code with respect to AWS. Okay, only they are comparing with AWS ELB and AWS Route 53. So if you know little bit about AWS, then just spend some time reading this, okay, and try to get a better idea about this. Okay, so this is one of the very important interview question with respect to microservices. Okay. So I'm going to ping that on the chat. There are two things I pinged, right? One is that one is console load balancer versus service discovery, that talk, and this one, right? So this URL. So just go through this URL and get some better idea. Okay, just read this in detail. Okay, any doubts, let me know. I will try to clarify. Okay, so focus these two sections. How different Eureka is from AWS ELB, Elastic Load Balancer. ELB is nothing but Elastic Load Balancer. And inside that Elastic Load Balancer, there is a particular concept called Route 53. Okay, there is a particular concept called Route 53. So this is going to take care about configuring that load balancer, right? Hardware load balancer, DNS server, and everything on the AWS. So that is what. But this blog is respected to only AWS. I don't know why they didn't mention anything about GKS and Azure. But when you go to Azure and GKS, this naming convention will change a little bit. Okay. So just go through this. Okay. So this small pending part I will show tomorrow. Okay. How to get it and how that load balancing is going to. Okay. How does that load balancing is going to work? Yes. So this is our first challenge, and this is what is the solution. Okay. Yes. Any questions?
Fine, Sunil. First, we need to go to this thing you told, right?
So whoever not completed that services development, right, please do complete and integrate all these things. Then only it is a microservices training. Otherwise, it is just a Spring Boot training, right? So we should start adding these things. One is service discovery. Next, we will add cloud config server. Next, we will add actuator. We will add client-side load balancer. We will add centralized log. Right? So like this, we will start adding the things, and we will make our one environment like mostly like microservices environment. So just writing only whatever we did till last week, right? It was only the development part. Now we are actually doing the microservices configuration, right? So these are all the common challenges in microservices, and the solutions we are implementing now. Okay. Yeah. So thank you, guys. So tomorrow Sunday, what you suggest? Want to have the session or want to leave?
Leave.
No, right? I think Friday or someday we had some. Oh,
No?
I mean, you also want to leave? Okay. Can we connect for some time to close this? It will take half an hour. That's why I don't want to come.
Yeah, half an hour, 1 hour are fine.
If it works for everyone, then we will have. Otherwise, we will discuss on Monday. For me, it's okay. But last few more sessions, guys. We need to close it up by 30 for sure.
Yeah, it's okay for me. Like, so tomorrow, half an hour, 1 hour.
So Vijay,
Yes, Sunil, okay.
okay. Don't say forcefully. If you are okay, then okay. Otherwise, we will take it on Monday. That's fine. So,
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Half an hour. I mean, if we are connecting, we can have full session. That's what I feel. Half an hour.
okay. So then it's okay. Then let's take the leave. Okay.
That's what I feel.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. So tomorrow is holiday. I will not schedule, but Monday we will have one session. Okay. But one small request. Okay. Be prepared for next weekend. Next weekend, don't expect any holiday. Okay. So that is almost dead end, right? Whatever is left, we have to finish it up. That's it. Okay. So tomorrow is okay, but next Saturday or Sunday, please don't expect any holiday, because from Monday everything is holiday only, right? So every day is holiday only. So next week I don't leave you guys. Tomorrow is okay, but next week you plan it. So but same time, it's like 8:45 to, if it is extending, it is okay. If anything is extending, Sunday evening I will try to schedule it on Sunday evening. I will let you know. We will plan based on our progress. We will plan. Okay. But next Saturday, Sunday, no holiday. Okay, next Saturday, Sunday, no holiday. You prepared for that. Okay.
Sure, Sunil.
Thank you all. See you on Monday. Tomorrow is holiday. Enjoy the weekend. Okay. Write some code. Okay. Take some rest. Yeah. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Sunil.